Before my sister's wedding, I noticed my card was charged for the entire reception. She smirked. You loser with no family of your own. It's the least you can do. I just smiled. Wait till you hear what happened next. The next morning, every call and text was about the venue, the bill, and the mix-up. And when they finally reached me, I simply did this. It started with a notification from my bank while I was at work. $14,028.52 charged to my account. The vendor name said Whitest Stone Estate Events. I stared at it for a second, not because I didn't recognize the name, but because I did. That was the venue my sister Olivia had been obsessing over for months. She sent pictures to the family group chat, constantly asking for feedback she didn't care about. It was never, "Do you think this is nice?" It was, "This is where I'll be having my wedding reception." FY. No questions, no humility, just entitlement in a white dress. I never offered to pay for it. I never would have offered to pay for it, but somehow it was my card footing the bill. I checked the transaction twice, hoping I was misreading it, but the number stared back at me like a slap. $14,000. I'd been saving that money for a down payment, quietly on my own. I never even told anyone I'd finally passed the threshold. My hands were shaking when I logged into the account. That's when it hit me. I'd added my mom to that account 6 months ago. It was supposed to be temporary. She was in a panic over a bill she couldn't cover. And I, like an idiot, trusted her when she said she'd never touch it again. She even hugged me after and told me I was a good daughter. I remember that because she rarely says things like that. Now I was staring at a hole in my savings and a receipt for a party I wasn't even looking forward to attending. I didn't call. I didn't text. I drove straight to my parents' house, walked in without knocking. They were in the kitchen. My dad gave me the usual, "What brings you by?" and my mom looked like she'd swallowed something too large. Then Olivia walked in. Freshly blow-dried hair, tight leggings, sunglasses still on indoors. I asked her who gave her permission to use my account. She didn't flinch. She smirked and said it wasn't a big deal, that I didn't have kids, didn't have a husband, didn't have a wedding of my own, that I was sitting on money while her once-in-a-lifetime moment was coming up. You're a loser who doesn't even have a family. It's the least you can do. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I just smiled. Then you'll love what happens next. I turned and left. Olivia laughed behind me. I didn't look back. By the time I got home, my phone was already lighting up. Missed calls, messages about the venue, the payment. Something was off in the system. Something wasn't going through. What they didn't know was that I had already spoken to the venue earlier that day. I told them the payment was unauthorized, fraudulent. I showed them the police report I filed, the affidavit I submitted to the bank. I asked for the refund to be processed and gave them a new contact. They agreed, and then I called every vendor I knew they'd booked. Florist, catering, even the photographer. They were all listed under my name because Olivia thought using me would mean guaranteed approval. I canceled all of it. But I wasn't done. Not yet, because the 14 grand was just the beginning. The next morning, my mom called twice before 7 a.m. I let it ring both times. No voicemail. She never leaves voicemails when she's panicking. Olivia followed right after, blowing up my phone with text. The first one just said, "What did you do?" Then a storm of them came in one after another. Something about the venue canceling, a problem with the caterer, the florist refusing to confirm, and then came the threats, the guilt trips, the insults. "You're disgusting. You better fix this. You're ruining my life. You've always been jealous of me." I read every word like I was skimming through a spam folder. I didn't respond. By 9:30, I heard pounding on my front door. Olivia. I watched from the upstairs window as she stood there in leggings and a massive hoodie, hair pulled back, phone still in hand. She stayed for a while, then eventually left, but not before slipping a piece of paper under the door. It was a handwritten note. "You think this is over? You're dead to me." I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because for once, I wasn't the one being used, manipulated, or emotionally blackmailed. I felt nothing reading it, and that was new. I spent the rest of the day doing what I probably should have done years ago. First, I logged into the landlord portal for the apartment Olivia and her fiancé had been living in. I'd been covering half their rent for almost a year under the excuse that they were getting on their feet. My parents had begged me. Olivia cried during that phone call. I believed them. Of course, I did, but not anymore. I deleted my payment info. The rent was due in 4 days. I wasn't going to remind them, let them figure it out like adults. Next, I called the bank again and permanently closed the account my mom still had access to. There was about $1,800 left in it. I transferred every cent to my new private account and had the old one formally shut down. No more loopholes, no more back doors. I didn't hear anything for a few hours. Then, out of nowhere, I got a call from Whitstone Estate. It was the venue manager. She said Olivia had called them in a panic, insisting the cancellation was a mistake. She claimed I'd changed my mind and that I was going to wire the money back within the hour. The manager was calling to confirm that. I told her no, it wasn't a mistake, and no, I hadn't changed my mind. I asked her to send me copies of every communication Olivia had with them from here on out, just in case this turned into something uglier. That's when I heard a car pull into my driveway. At first, I assumed it was Olivia again, but it wasn't. It was her fiancé's parents. They got out of the car slowly. The dad looked uncomfortable, like he wasn't sure why they were even there. The mom walked up with this tight-lipped expression, like she'd rehearsed what she wanted to say 3 times in the car. They told me they had heard I was covering the costs of the wedding, and that since everything was falling apart now, they didn't understand why I was suddenly backing out. I asked them who told them that. They said Olivia and my mother. They actually believed I had agreed to fund the whole thing. Venue, catering, dresses, even part of the honeymoon. I could see the shift happen in real time as I explained I never agreed to anything, and that all those payments had been made without my knowledge or permission. I handed them a folder with screenshots, account activity, and a copy of the police report I'd filed after discovering the fraud. They didn't say much at first, just stared at the papers. Then the dad apologized quietly. The mom did too, a bit more awkwardly, but it was clear they were embarrassed and had been completely misled. They told me they were postponing the wedding. Said they didn't want to be involved in something that began with stolen money and lies. That night, I finally got a message from someone who wasn't accusing me of being heartless. It was from the fiancé's mom. I'm so sorry for what you've been dragged into. You were right to do what you did. We're reconsidering everything. No one else called. No one else texted. It wasn't my mom. It wasn't Olivia. But I wasn't finished yet, not even close. By morning, the silence was deafening. No missed calls, no urgent texts, nothing from my parents, nothing from Olivia. That's when I knew they were regrouping. In my family, silence never means peace, it means scheming. I didn't have to wait long. Around noon, my dad called. I answered, curious to see how far they'd go to twist the truth. He started slow, acting like nothing was wrong. Said it was all a big misunderstanding, throwing around words like miscommunication and confusion, as if $14,000 just slipped out of my account to pay for a wedding I wasn't even invited to plan. Then he said something that stopped me cold. You know Olivia's really hurt. She thinks you're trying to sabotage her big day. Can't we just move on? Move on. I reminded him of standing in the kitchen, asking who took my money, and Olivia looking me dead in the eye, calling me a loser. That wasn't a mix-up. That was a choice. He went quiet, mumbled something about how your mom meant well, and hung up. That was his apology, deflect and disappear. Hours later, my mom sent a long email. It started like a peace offering, but quickly unraveled. She wrote that she never expected me to react this way, that she was shocked I'd gone so far as to involve the police. She said I'd made her feel like a criminal. Then, buried in a paragraph, came the line that hit like a punch. I thought you'd be proud to do something meaningful for the family, especially since you don't have a family of your own. That was it. I didn't reply. I forwarded the email to my Aunt Lisa with the subject. You should see this. Lisa called in 10 minutes, furious. She's always been the one family member who never treated me like an emotional punching bag. She said she was already calling people before Mom could spin the narrative. She didn't ask for permission, just said, I've got this. By evening, the family group chat was chaos. My cousin Jenna sent me screenshots. Mom had told everyone I'd overreacted to a mix-up and hurt Olivia during an emotional time. But Lisa wasn't letting it slide. She started asking hard questions. Why was the wedding booked in my name? Why was my bank account used? Why did Mom have access to it at all? Then someone asked what I'd been wondering. Why was I paying Olivia's rent? That question hit like a bomb. I later learned Olivia had been asking relatives for money, claiming I'd cut her off without warning, leaving her and her fiancé facing eviction. She painted me as the villain, but my Uncle Drew shut it down. If she can afford a $30,000 wedding, she can afford rent. The chat went silent after that. That night, Around 8:30, headlights lit up my driveway. I peeked out and saw Mom standing by her car, arms crossed, staring at the house. She didn't knock, just paced for a bit, then drove off. The next morning, Olivia cracked 37 messages. They started angry, accusing me of ruining her life, humiliating her, shaming her fiancé. Then they spiraled. She said the wedding was canceled, deposits lost, his parents weren't speaking to her. She begged me to fix it, said I destroyed everything. I read every message, then turned off my phone and went for a walk. For the first time in years, they had no power over me, and I felt no guilt. They thought they could punish me with silence, shame, or exile. But I wasn't that person anymore. I'd spent so long avoiding being the problem that I became their solution, never mine. Not anymore. Then, just as things seemed to settle, I got a call from a familiar number, Olivia's fiancé's mother. She said she needed to meet in person, that she'd learned something big. We met at a quiet cafe on the edge of town. She walked in alone, clutching her purse like it held secrets. She looked tired but resolute, like someone done swallowing lies. She didn't waste time. The wedding wasn't just postponed, it was collapsing. Her son, Olivia's fiancé, had walked out 2 nights ago, packed a bag, said he needed space, that he didn't sign up for this. I stayed quiet, listening. Then she said something that made me sit up straight. They'd found a credit card, not his, not Olivia's, but mine, opened in my name, maxed out at $8,000. It started when he went to their apartment to grab his passport. He found a stack of unopened mail and, out of curiosity or instinct, went through it. Hidden among flyers and a wedding catalog was a bank statement with my name on it. He confronted Olivia. She brushed it off, said I knew about it, that I'd set it up for wedding expenses to protect their credit. He didn't buy it. That's when she shifted, claiming it was my idea, that I was jealous and trying to control her wedding. She even said she had to open it in my name because I wasn't stepping up like family should. He left that night, drove to his parents' house without a word. The next morning, he showed his parents the statement. His mom slid a printout across the table to me. My name, my social security number, my address. Charges for a bridal boutique in LA, a luxury spa in Napa, flights, a 3-day bride-to-be, weekend, $900 designer shoes I'd never seen. She said Olivia's story kept changing until she admitted it. She'd used my information. Her excuse? Barbara has money. She'll be fine. Then the final blow. My mom had co-signed the credit card application. My own mother helped Olivia commit fraud against me. I sat there, silent, as her voice faded into static, the world feeling distant. She pulled a flash drive from her purse. Photos, screenshots, bank statements, email chains, evidence. She said her son was considering calling off the wedding for good and wanted me to have everything to protect myself. She and her husband supported whatever I decided to do next. They had no idea how deep this went until that night. I drove straight to the police station, filed a second report, this time for identity theft and fraud. I froze my credit, contacted the banks, and started the long process of fixing the damage. When they asked if I wanted to press charges, I didn't hesitate. Yes. That night, I sent one message to the family group chat. Olivia opened a credit card in my name and maxed it out. Mom co-signed. The bank and police have everything. Olivia stole my credit card, racking up $900 in charges, including a bride energy robe. I muted the family chat, but Aunt Lisa saw Olivia's excuse. She claimed it was a surprise gift I'd forgotten about. Cousin Anthony called her out, and the chat turned against her. My grandmother left a rare, ashamed voicemail, saying Olivia wasn't raised to steal and my parents enabled her. Olivia's fiancé's parents stopped co-signing her rent, leading to an eviction notice. She was 2 months behind, with no payment plan. Her fiancé emailed me, apologizing for not seeing her lies about money, rent, and our family. He left her. Olivia kept spinning stories, claiming I hated her and ruined her life, but no one bought it. Uncle Drew told her to stop calling, saying she was lucky I didn't press charges sooner. She sent a letter accusing me of enjoying her downfall and embarrassing the family. I compiled evidence of her past requests and payments, just in case. 3 weeks later, Olivia filed a small claims suit, demanding damages for humiliation and psychological harm, claiming I acted out of spite. My attorney dismissed it as baseless. In court, the judge questioned her about the fraud, She cried, saying I misunderstood, but couldn't explain forging my name. Case dismissed. Her ex-fiancé wrote again, thanking me for exposing her and saying he was starting over in Oregon. Aunt Lisa invited me to Thanksgiving, excluding Olivia and my parents. Cousin Jenna messaged, saying I did the right thing. I wasn't the villain, just the first to say no to Olivia's lies and manipulation.